The grand chamber of the Galactic Council floated high above the shining blue planet Zeros. It was one of the largest space stations ever built, an ancient structure that had hosted peace talks, trade agreements, and alliances for thousands of years. But on this day, peace was the one thing missing. Representatives from hundreds of alien species filled the hall, each sitting behind their glowing nameplates. Their voices clashed in a storm of sound and color. The walls trembled as translators worked endlessly to turn dozens of alien languages into common speech. The air was thick with distrust. At the center of the hall, the great circular platform of speakers glowed faintly. Standing there was Ambassador Lyra Torv, Earth's representative. She was calm, her hands folded behind her back, but her eyes showed quiet frustration. For hours she had listened to accusations thrown at humanity like sharp stones. A tall insect-like alien named Counselor Varkesh slammed his claws against his desk. Human colonies are expanding too close to our sectors. Their mining fleets ignore border warnings. They bring war machines where there should be diplomacy. Another voice joined him. A scaled reptilian creature with golden armor, Admiral Theros of the Ziran Empire. Do not pretend innocence, Ambassador. The attack on the Ervos colony was your doing. You provoked it, and now you bring your warship into council space. Lyra took a slow breath before speaking. Her voice was calm but firm. The Ervos colony was attacked by unknown forces. We lost 50,000 civilians. We are asking for help in finding who did this, not starting another war. A wave of murmurs filled the room. Some representatives looked guilty. Others scoffed. The truth was that no one wanted to take responsibility or get involved in another human crisis. To them, humans were newcomers to the stars, ambitious, emotional, and unpredictable. But deep down, they also feared something else: humanity's growing strength. A soft mechanical hum echoed through the chamber as holographic screens displayed recent reports. Satellite images of destroyed human settlements, burned transport ships, and strange energy signatures. None matched known alien weapons. The mystery deepened, but instead of uniting the council, it divided them further. Council leader Zoran, a being made of shifting crystal shards, struck his staff on the floor. Order, we must decide. Humanity requests investigation, but many members feel unsafe with Earth's battleship approaching this system. A murmur of agreement spread through the chamber. The name of that ship had become a whisper of fear: UNS Aegis. It was not just a battleship. It was a legend in the making. Built in secret orbit around Jupiter, the Aegis carried technology that no other species fully understood. Some said it could outmatch entire fleets. Others said it could end wars before they began. Lyra could feel the tension around her. She straightened her uniform and spoke again. The Aegis comes to protect the human colonies and to ensure peace. We have no intention of using it against anyone. But if the unknown attackers strike again, we must be ready. Counselor Varkesh hissed. Peace? You call bringing a warship into our borders peace? Lyra's patience was wearing thin, but she kept her composure. Sometimes peace needs strength to survive. Earth knows that better than most. The words echoed in the chamber. For a moment, silence fell. The old races remembered the history files, how Earth had survived endless wars on its own world, how humans had risen from nothing and reached the stars within just a few centuries. Their spirit was strange and hard to understand, but it made them unstoppable. Still, fear clouded reason. Some races believed humanity's rise would upset the balance that had existed for thousands of years, and fear often leads to conflict. The council session ended in chaos. Members shouted over one another. Some stormed out, others whispered in private. Small alliances were forming in secret corners of the hall. Within hours, entire fleets began repositioning themselves in orbit of Zeros, just in case. Far from the council, across the dark emptiness of space, the UNS Aegis traveled silently through hyperspace. Its silver hull shimmered with faint blue light. The ship was a moving fortress, 4 kilometers long, covered with armor that could withstand sun's heat, and powered by a core that bent gravity itself. Inside the command deck, Captain Marcus Rains stood before the observation window. His expression was calm but focused. The stars stretched into blue streaks as the ship glided through hyperspace lanes. Officers moved efficiently at their stations, every screen alive with data. A young communications officer spoke. Captain, message from Earth Command. They confirmed the council meeting ended without decision. Tensions are rising. Rains nodded slowly. Expected. The council always talks until the talking breaks something. He looked at the holographic display showing Zero System. Hundreds of fleets gathering, preparing. Any word from Ambassador Torv? She's still on the council station, sir. Situation looks tense but stable. Rains stared out into the blue tunnel of hyperspace. Stable never lasts long in politics. He turned to his first officer, Commander Havel. Run final system checks. We might need to show the flag sooner than planned. Commander Havel smiled faintly. Sir, the galaxy calls us arrogant for building the Aegis. Rains returned the smile. Let them. Better to be called arrogant than unprepared. Back on Zeros, Ambassador Lyra walked through the glass corridors of the council station. The view of the planet below was breathtaking. Giant oceans and cities that sparkled like stars. But she barely noticed. Her mind was on the reports flashing across her wrist terminal. Alien fleets were forming battle lines. The Zerans, the Zarkelians, and the Caliph Dominion, all powerful empires, were testing their weapon systems near the station. It was a show of strength, but to Lyra it looked more like preparation for war. She stopped by the observation deck and stared into the void. Somewhere out there the Aegis was coming. It was both comforting and frightening. She knew what that ship could do. She had seen the classified reports. It carried weapons that even the Council's science divisions could not fully understand. Still, she hoped it would not have to use them. A voice came from behind her, soft and uncertain. Ambassador Torv? She turned. It was Ensign Rel, a young alien aide assigned to assist her during council meetings. His blue skin shimmered slightly under the light. He looked nervous. Yes, Ensign? The Council security forces. They are moving heavy defense platforms around the station. Some members say the human ship may be seen as a threat when it arrives. Lyra sighed. It seems peace is harder to defend than war. Rel hesitated. Do you think the humans will fight, Ambassador? She looked out again into the stars. We don't start fights, Ensign, but we finish them. Her words were quiet, but they carried the weight of a truth that had followed humanity since its birth. Hours later, in the war rooms of several alien fleets, commanders whispered in worry. Reports came in. Long-range sensors had detected a massive hyperspace signature approaching the Zyros system. It was not just large. It was unlike any other. The readings were unstable, shifting, powerful. Could it be? One commander asked. Yes, replied another. The humans are coming. In the council chambers, an emergency session was called. Holograms of frightened leaders appeared from all across the galaxy. Some shouted for the council to ready their defenses. Others begged for calm, but calm was gone. Fear ruled now. Ambassador Lyra stood again in the center of the chamber, facing a storm of words and suspicion. Enough, she said, her voice echoing across the hall. The Aegis is not here to fight you. It is here to protect us all. The attackers who destroyed Arivos could strike any of you next, but her words fell on deaf ears. One by one, fleets began powering their weapons, locking on defensive coordinates around the council station. The room fell silent when the station's alarms began to sound. A voice from the control deck shouted, Massive object exiting hyperspace near Zeros orbit. Lyra closed her eyes for a brief moment. It was here the UNS Aegis had arrived. The void of space shimmered as a great light tore through the darkness. The hyperspace lane bent, twisted, and then released the most powerful ship humanity had ever built, the UNS Aegis. It emerged silently, its silver hull shining against the stars. The ship's surface looked alive with faint blue lines of energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its size dwarfed every nearby vessel, 4 kilometers of armor, engines, and purpose. It was not just a battleship. It was a statement. Inside the bridge, everything was calm. Crew members sat at their stations, eyes fixed on their glowing consoles. The hum of machinery mixed with the soft rhythm of life support systems. Every movement was disciplined, every voice steady. Captain Marcus Rains stood in the center of the command deck, hands clasped behind his back, his gaze focused on the holographic map in front of him. Position confirmed, said the navigation officer. We are in the Zero system. Council fleets detected in high orbit. Rains nodded. Status of our defenses? Shield stable. Weapons offline but on standby. The captain's expression remained unreadable. Good. We will not fire unless fired upon. Commander Havel, his first officer, walked up beside him. "Sir, we are already being scanned by multiple fleets. Some of them are powering up targeting arrays." Rains gave a small smile. "They can look all they want. Let them see what we built." Through the bridge's wide observation window, the alien fleet shimmered like jewels in the darkness, ships of many shapes and colors, built by races that had ruled the stars long before humans left Earth. Yet none of them matched the cold, focused design of the Aegis. It was elegant but deadly, like a blade carved from light itself. On the council station, panic spread as the Aegis appeared on every sensor screen. Alarm lights flashed. Some fleets switched to full battle readiness. Others tried to open communication channels, shouting orders in dozens of languages. Inside the Grand Chamber, Ambassador Lyra Torv stood before the council again. She could feel the tension in the air. Every screen around her showed the image of the human battleship entering orbit. Its sheer scale was breathtaking and terrifying. Councilor Varkesh hissed, "The humans have brought their weapon to our door. This is an act of war." Lyra faced him firmly. "It is not a weapon, it is protection. The Aegis is here to make sure no one fires the first shot." "Then why is it so large?" Varkesh shouted. "Why does it need to shine with energy like a sun? No ship needs such power unless it plans to destroy." Lyra raised her voice. "You misunderstand us, Counselor. We built the Aegis because no one listened when we were weak. We do not want fear. We want peace built on respect." The words hung in the air, but few listened. Across the galaxy, the name Aegis was already becoming a symbol. Some saw it as hope, others as danger. Back aboard the battleship, the communications officer turned to Captain Rains. "Sir, we are receiving messages from several fleets. Some are requesting identification. Others are demanding we leave the system immediately." Rains answered quietly. "Transmit standard diplomatic code. Inform them we are under direct order from Earth Command and recognized by the Council. Hold position." He moved toward the window and stared out at the growing storm of activity. Alien ships were moving, forming formations, adjusting weapons. The captain could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes watching him. Commander Havel spoke softly. "Sir, I think they are afraid," Rains replied. "They should not be afraid, but they should understand." "Understand what?" Havel asked. "That Earth no longer bows," Rains said calmly. Far across the station, Ensign Rel, the young alien aide assigned to Ambassador Lyra, hurried through the crowded corridors. Panic had broken order. Council guards were shouting, moving to defensive posts. Drones flew overhead, activating shields around sensitive areas. He reached Lyra's office, where she stood by the window staring at the massive shadow of the Aegis. The ship's reflective surface caught the light from Xeros's sun, sending soft blue ripples through the void. It looked peaceful yet unstoppable. "Ambassador," Rel said breathlessly, "several fleets are requesting permission to prepare counter-defenses. They think the Aegis might attack." Lyra turned sharply. "Counter-defenses? That's madness. The Aegis will not strike unless provoked." "I know, but the Council doesn't trust that," Rel said. "They say humans have hidden motives." Lyra sighed. "They are afraid of something they do not understand." She walked closer to the glass and whispered almost to herself. "But soon they will." On the bridge of the Aegis, the crew continued their calm preparations. Systems hummed quietly, reactors glowing deep within the ship's heart. Every station was alive with data. Ship positions, power readings, energy fluctuations. Suddenly, the tactical officer looked up. "Captain, multiple targeting locks detected. Xeran Empire fleet is pointing weapons at us." Commander Havel frowned. "Are they serious?" Rain's expression hardened, but his tone stayed controlled. "Activate point defense grid." "No weapons, just shields." The ship's outer hull shimmered as layers of energy unfolded like petals of light, forming a barrier around the entire vessel. The shield glowed faintly, making the Aegis look like a small star. Outside, alien commanders watched in silence. Their scanners showed impossible readings. The human shields absorbed their scans, bent light around the ship, and even disrupted targeting systems. "This is not possible," one alien admiral whispered. "Their technology should not be this advanced." Another replied, "It is human technology. They evolve faster than anyone else." Fear spread through the fleets. Ships shifted nervously in orbit, holding weapons but not daring to fire. Inside the council chamber, council leader Joran stood, his crystal form flickering with inner light. "We are standing on the edge of chaos," he said. We must not allow another war. Admiral Theros of the Zirans rose from his seat. Then order the humans to withdraw their battleship. Lyra responded immediately. If the Aegis leaves, your fleets will start fighting each other. You know this. The only reason you have not yet fired is because of its presence. Sharon's light dimmed slightly as he considered her words. She was right. The Council had always balanced on a knife's edge, hundreds of empires united by fragile treaties. Without the Aegis's silent authority, everything could fall apart. The room fell into heavy silence. For the first time, many Council members began to understand what the humans were truly doing. They had not brought their ship to threaten. They had brought it to remind everyone that peace could have strength. Back in orbit, tension continued to grow. Alien captains whispered orders. Sensors flared. Small skirmishes almost began between nervous ships of rival species. The Aegis stayed completely still, watching. On the bridge, Commander Havel looked at the captain. "Sir, if one of them fires even by mistake," Rains finished the sentence quietly. "Then the storm begins." A long moment passed. Then a message came through, Ambassador Lyra's voice. "Captain Rains, this is Torv. The Council is collapsing into arguments. Some are preparing to withdraw. I fear a fight will break out soon." Rains replied, "Hold your ground, Ambassador. We'll make sure no one gets the chance." He turned toward the tactical officer. "Send a signal pulse. Nothing aggressive, just visible." The officer nodded. "Aye, sir." Seconds later, the Aegis released a controlled wave of light from its hull. It spread like a silent ripple through space, soft, blue, and harmless. Yet every sensor in orbit picked it up. For a moment, every alien ship saw their targeting systems go dark. Their energy weapons cooled automatically. Their systems reset as if a hand had gently pressed pause on the entire battlefield. No damage, no attack, just silence. In the council chambers, alarms blared and then went quiet. Screens flickered and stabilized again. The Aegis had done something no one could explain. All weapons in orbit were neutralized for exactly 12 seconds. Lyra smiled slightly. She knew what that was, a peaceful warning. Across the fleets, fear mixed with awe. "What kind of weapon was that?" asked one alien captain. "It wasn't a weapon," said another quietly. "It was a message." Back on the Aegis, Rains spoke to his crew. "Transmit to all fleets, Earth stands for peace. But peace is not weakness." The message spread across the system in every known language. It was short, simple, and impossible to ignore. In the council chambers, the alien leaders sat in stunned silence. For the first time, many realized that humanity did not need to speak loudly to be heard. Their actions spoke for them. Ambassador Lyra stood tall and said softly, "Now they will listen." Outside, the Aegis drifted calmly among the stars, its blue light pulsing gently like a heartbeat. The storm had not yet come, but its shadow had passed over the galaxy, leaving everyone wondering what true human power really meant. The silence of space was shattered by sudden flashes of energy. A small Ziran reconnaissance vessel fired its plasma cannons at a Zarkelian frigate. The bolt struck, causing a ripple of sparks across its hull. Instantly, chaos erupted. What began as a minor skirmish escalated into a full-scale clash. In the council chambers, alarms screamed. Ambassador Lyra Torv gripped the railing, her calm demeanor strained under the rising tension. "Stop this at once," she shouted. You don't know who is truly watching. But her words were drowned by the panic of alien commanders. Ships began moving aggressively, weaving through space like deadly predators. Shields flared, engines glowed, and targeting arrays lit up in preparation for the inevitable. "Captain Rains," Commander Havel said from the bridge of the UNS Aegis. "Multiple fleets are engaging each other. They could pull us into their battle." Rains, his face calm as ever, looked out of the observation window. The war had begun, not against humanity, but among the Council factions themselves. "Let them," he said quietly. "We are here to stop this before it gets out of control." The Aegis remained still. Its engines glowed faintly, powering the ship but giving no sign of aggression. The alien fleets noticed its presence and hesitated, each commander wary of humanity's ultimate power. Plasma bolts and laser beams streaked across the void as ships collided. Explosions erupted in the distance, sending pieces of wreckage spinning into orbit. The Council station shook as smaller craft skirmished around its defenses. Smoke and sparks flowed along energy conduits, and the alarms blared continuously. Inside the chamber, Council Leader Zoran's crystal form trembled with tension. "This is unacceptable. All of you," he shouted. "Cease fire. Humanity did not start this." Councillor Varkesh hissed in reply. "They will never understand. We cannot allow humans to grow unchecked." Lyra stepped forward, her voice rising above the chaos. "Stop this madness. If this continues, countless lives will be lost for no reason." Some council members paused, looking at the enormous shadow of the Aegis outside the station. Its hull reflected the solar light of Zeros, creating a silent, enormous presence. Even in the midst of chaos, the humans did not act in anger. That alone gave pause to the warring factions. On the bridge of the Aegis, Tactical Officer Lieutenant Mara Soren studied the battle. "Sir, the skirmish is escalating. If the council fleets continue, their weapons could reach the station or worse, strike each other with full power." Rains nodded, eyes narrowed. "Prepare defensive measures. No shots yet. Let them learn caution." The crew worked efficiently. Energy fields unfolded around the ship, deflecting minor attacks and stabilizing the Aegis in orbit. Every action was precise. No one panicked. The discipline and calm aboard the human ship were unlike anything the alien fleets had ever seen. Suddenly, the Aegis's sensors detected a massive wave of energy from the combined Ziran and Kalith fleets. They were coordinating their firepower, aiming to overwhelm any human interference. "Multiple volleys incoming," said Mara, her voice steady but tense. Rains turned to Commander Havel. "Activate shield harmonics across the entire forward arc. Maintain passive posture. Let them realize their own limits." Outside, the waves of plasma bolts streaked toward the Aegis, but as they approached, the ship's shields bent the energy away like water around a rock. Not one bolt touched the hull. The alien fleets froze, scanning their readings repeatedly, unable to understand how their full-strength attacks had been nullified without a single human weapon being fired. The battle continued in orbit. But the Aegis's presence changed everything. Smaller ships hesitated and the largest vessels lowered their weapons slightly. The humans had shown restraint, but it was a restraint born of mastery. The Council fleets were beginning to realize that one mistake against Earth's flagship could cost them everything. Back on the Council station, Lyra watched the events unfold with a mixture of fear and confidence. She knew the Aegis could destroy entire fleets in minutes, but she also knew humanity had no intention of doing so. A young aide, trembling slightly, whispered, "Ambassador, they are beginning to hesitate." Lyra nodded, her eyes steady. "Good. Fear is only useful if it teaches caution. This is not punishment. It is a lesson." Moments later, the first real collision occurred. A Zarkelian cruiser fired on a Ziran destroyer. The blast tore through its armor, leaving a hole the size of a city block. Explosions rocked the cruiser as the weapon systems overloaded. Debris scattered through orbit, sending shrapnel toward smaller ships. The Council station's shields flared in response, protecting civilians and officials aboard. Alarm screamed. The Council members finally understood that the fragile peace could end at any moment. Lyra clenched her fists. "Stop this! If you cannot see reason, you will learn from power." The human ship finally acted, but not with violence. Captain Rains issued a calm command. "Deploy non-lethal disruption pulse." The Aegis released a wave of energy, soft and beautiful like ripples across a pond. The pulse disabled targeting systems across the warring fleets without damaging the ships. Engines slowed slightly, weapons went offline, and all fire ceased immediately. It was precision, not destruction, an unmistakable show of human ingenuity. Across the Council station, every holographic display went dark for a few seconds. Then systems returned to normal, but the alien fleets were shaken. Their once confident captains now hesitated, unsure of what humanity could do next. Lyra's voice carried across the chamber. "See what humanity does. We do not destroy. We do not attack. Yet we command respect. This is how we prevent war." Councillor Varkesh's eyes narrowed. This is not natural. No species could do this without immense power." Lyra smiled faintly. "Perhaps your species does not understand what humans are capable of. But you will learn eventually." Even the fiercest alien admirals whispered among themselves. "Have we underestimated them?" one asked. "Yes," said another quietly. "They are not like any other species we have known." In orbit, the Ziran fleet slowly backed away from the Zarkelian lines. Neither side wanted to test the limits of the human battleship. The Aegis did not need to fire to stop the battle. It had only to exist, its presence a silent declaration of unmatched capability. Captain Rains observed the calm that returned to space. "Prepare communications channel. I want all fleet commanders to hear this directly." The crew obeyed. A transmission was sent to every ship in orbit. Earth does not seek conflict. Earth does not take sides in petty squabbles. But Earth will protect its own and defend life. Let this be a warning. No force should mistake restraint for weakness. The message reverberated across the galaxy. Alien commanders stared at each other. Some lowered shields entirely. Others hesitated, unsure if further aggression could be permitted. On the council station, Lyra breathed a sigh of relief. "It is working," she said softly. "They understand. At least for now." Council Leader Zoran's crystal form pulsed as he addressed the chamber. "The humans have shown their might without striking a blow. Let this remind us all that strength and wisdom must guide our actions. Peace is fragile. Let none forget that." Councillor Varkesh hissed but remained silent. The lesson was clear. Humanity could not be ignored. As the alien fleets began to stabilize, the first signs of cooperation emerged. Minor communications between rival species started. Repairs were made to damaged ships. The council station's shields remained active, protecting all. No further shots were fired. Captain Rains looked at the calm void outside. "They will remember this day, not because we destroyed them, but because they know what would happen if we chose to." Commander Havel nodded. "They will think twice before escalating any conflict in the future." The Aegis remained in orbit, silent and majestic, its blue lights pulsing steadily. Humanity's power was no longer theoretical, it was undeniable. But it was also clear that humans did not act without reason, and that made them even more formidable in the eyes of every alien race. Below the observation deck, Ensign Rel watched the fleets with awe. "Ambassador," he whispered, "I've never seen anything like this. The humans. They didn't fight, but they won." Lyra smiled, her gaze firm. "That is the way of Earth. We fight only when necessary, and even then we fight to end conflict, not to start it. The galaxy will never forget this lesson." Outside, the stars of Zero shimmered as fleets began to back off. The first real clash had ended. Not in destruction, but in understanding. And yet somewhere deep in the shadows of space, whispers began. The Aegis was not just a ship. It was a force that could change the course of galactic history. The quiet that followed the first clash was fragile. Across the orbit of Zeros, alien fleets hovered cautiously, their engines glowing softly as they held defensive positions. Every captain was aware of one undeniable fact. The UNS Aegis had entered the system, and it had not fired a single weapon, yet it had stopped an escalating battle faster than any council resolution ever could. Inside the Aegis, the bridge was calm. Captain Marcus Rains observed the alien fleets through the wide observation window. The pulse of the ship's energy fields reflected faintly in his eyes. "Status report," Rains commanded, his voice steady. Lieutenant Mara Soren turned from her console. "All fleets are holding. They have not fired in over 5 minutes. Sensors indicate confusion and hesitation across the board. It seems they are beginning to respect our presence." Rains nodded. "Good. Prepare the communications array. I want to speak to every fleet commander personally." Commander Havel raised an eyebrow. "Sir, do you really intend to address them directly?" "After what we just did, it may not be necessary." Rains looked out at the fleets again. Necessary or not, they must understand one simple truth. Humanity does not seek conflict, but it will end one decisively if needed. Back on the council station, Ambassador Lyra Torv paced the central chamber. She could see the nervous tension in the alien representatives. Some whispered, some argued quietly, and a few just stared at the large viewing windows where the Aegis hovered like a silent guardian. Council Leader Zoran's crystal form shimmered uneasily. "The humans, they are unlike any species we have known. They stopped a war without firing a single shot." "How can this be?" Lyra's voice was calm and deliberate. "Because they understand the power of control, Council Leader. They wield strength not to destroy but to protect. That is why the Aegis exists. That is why Earth exists." The words seemed to sink into the chamber. Even the most vocal critics could not deny the effect humanity had already had. Still, fear lingered. Some species saw the Aegis not as protection, but as a threat that could tip the scales of power across the galaxy. Outside, in the cold expanse of space, the alien fleets were on edge. Sensors pinged constantly, measuring the strength of the human battleship. Their scientists and tacticians worked furiously, trying to understand the energy fields, the shields, and the strange distortions of light around the ship. One Xeran admiral whispered to his counterpart, "Whatever humans have done, they are not ordinary. Their ship. It bends the rules of physics. Our weapons cannot touch it." A Caliph strategist nodded. "It is as if they are not just powerful. They are beyond comprehension. If this is a single ship, what does it mean for the rest of their fleet?" Panic began to ripple quietly through the command networks. Hesitation became a common theme. No one dared to strike, but no one knew what would happen if provoked. On the Aegis, Captain Rains initiated the next phase. "Deploy the solar lance array," he ordered, his tone measured. The bridge crew reacted immediately. Large panels slid into position along the deck, revealing the ship's most secret and powerful weapon. The solar lance array was a system that could focus solar and cosmic energy into precise beams capable of overwhelming even the largest starships. Lieutenant Soren looked at the captain. "Sir, this could destroy multiple fleets at once." Rains nodded calmly. "Yes, but we will not destroy. We will only demonstrate capability." A wave of quiet awe passed through the crew. Even among the humans, the solar lance was a weapon of last resort, reserved for situations where diplomacy and restraint had failed. Today, it would show the galaxy the full potential of human ingenuity without shedding a single life. The Aegis's hull began to glow faintly as energy collected from the nearby star. The ship hummed softly, almost musical, as the array aligned. Outside, alien sensors detected massive energy fluctuations. Nervous hands hovered over weapon triggers. Then, in a precise burst, the solar lance activated, not toward any fleet, but above the battlefield. A concentrated beam of light cut through space, illuminating the surrounding ships without striking them. The sheer energy caused ripples in sensor readings, momentarily disabling targeting arrays and weapon locks across all fleets in orbit. Every fleet commander froze, staring at the demonstration. The Aegis had just shown what it could do without harming anyone. It was a display of absolute power with absolute restraint. Inside the council station, Lyra Torv watched the holographic feed, her eyes wide but steady. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the station. Every alien representative turned toward the screens, their previous bravado replaced with a mix of awe and fear. Counselor Varkesh whispered, almost in disbelief. It did not fire, yet it could have destroyed us all in a single strike." Lyra nodded. "That is the point. Humans do not need to destroy to show strength. Their actions speak louder than weapons. The Aegis is proof that restraint combined with power is more effective than aggression." Some council members looked thoughtful. Others looked uneasy. Fear had turned into respect, and perhaps the first steps toward understanding. Back in orbit, minor skirmishes ceased entirely. Alien fleets powered down their weapons and drifted cautiously. Sensors showed that no human weapon had fired, yet the field of control was unmistakable. Every admiral understood. Earth could end this conflict at any moment. Captain Rains issued a calm transmission. "All fleets of the Council. Humanity does not seek war. We do not wish to dominate or destroy. Our battleship exists to protect life and maintain peace. Let this demonstration remind you that strength without violence can prevent chaos. Let none mistake restraint for weakness." The message was simple, direct, and delivered in all known languages. The effect was instantaneous. Hesitation turned into silence. Discussion replaced hostility. Even the most aggressive fleets reduced their readiness to cautious patrols. Within the council chamber, Council Leader Joran addressed the assembly. "The humans have revealed their might without taking a single life. Their power is undeniable. They are a force we cannot ignore." Lyra stepped forward, her calm voice cutting through tension. "The Aegis is not a threat to peace. It is a guarantee that no species will escalate conflict without consequences. Today you have all seen the choice humanity makes to protect life, not end it." The murmurs of agreement spread. Some alien representatives nodded slowly, understanding for the first time the unique approach of humans. Others remained uneasy, realizing that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. Outside, the Aegis pulsed gently, a silent sentinel among the stars. It remained ready for action, but had not fired a single weapon. Its presence alone had brought order to a system on the brink of destruction. Captain Rains looked out the window, his face calm but thoughtful. Commander Havel stood beside him. "They will remember this day," Havel said softly. "Yes," Rains replied. "Not because we destroyed them, but because they know we could have. And that knowledge changes everything." The bridge crew worked silently, ensuring systems were stable, shields at full strength, and sensors operational. The lesson had been delivered. Humanity had revealed its true might, not through violence but through intelligence, control, and the undeniable capability to act if needed. On the council station, Ambassador Lyra finally allowed herself a small smile. She looked at the alien representatives and said softly, "The galaxy has seen what humanity can do. Let this be a reminder that power guided by wisdom can achieve more than aggression ever could." The aliens nodded, some still cautious, but all aware that humanity had proven itself. Fear had transformed into respect. Even Counselor Varkesh, still muttering under his breath, could not deny the effect of Earth's might. The UNS Aegis remained in orbit, a beacon of power and restraint. Its presence ensured that the Council would think twice before any rash action. And in every system that watched the demonstration, a single truth became clear. Humans did not start wars lightly, but if provoked, their strength was absolute. The first true test had ended, and humanity had emerged not just as survivors, but as a force the galaxy would never forget. The stars above Zeros glimmered with quiet brilliance as the Council fleets hovered in orbit. The tension that had filled the system for days had finally eased, replaced by a mixture of awe, caution, and respect. The UNS Aegis remained in position, its silver hull gleaming against the distant suns. It had not fired a single weapon, yet it had altered the course of history in a single day. Inside the council station, Ambassador Lyra Torv stood before the assembly, her calm presence commanding attention. The alien representatives who had shouted, argued, and plotted against one another just hours ago now listened silently. Even Counselor Varkesh sat in thoughtful silence, no longer willing to challenge the humans openly. Council Leader Zoran's crystal form pulsed gently as he spoke. "The humans have shown us the true measure of strength. They do not wield power recklessly, but when necessary, their reach is absolute. We have witnessed restraint and wisdom, paired with unmatched capability. We must reconsider how we view humanity." Lyra nodded. "The Aegis was never meant to intimidate. It exists to protect life. Humanity does not seek conquest. We fight to preserve peace and defend what is ours and what is innocent. Let this understanding guide your decisions, Council Leader. Let it guide all of you." The chamber fell into a reflective silence. For the first time in generations, the Council seemed united in thought, rather than divided by fear and ambition. Alien representatives whispered among themselves, exchanging reports and debating quietly instead of drawing weapons. Outside, the Aegis pulsed softly, as if breathing with life. Captain Marcus Rains watched the fleets through the observation window, noting the subtle changes in ship movements. Targeting arrays that had once glowed brightly now dimmed. Shields that had been raised in anticipation of conflict began to lower. The alien commanders were learning caution, respect, and the true weight of power. Commander Havel turned to him. "Sir, they are beginning to realize we are not just a weapon." "We are a lesson," Rains nodded. "Exactly. Power is not just about force. It is about control, wisdom, and the ability to act when it matters most. Let them remember that." Lieutenant Marasoran adjusted the sensor readouts. "Sir, we are receiving multiple messages from the Council fleets. They want to discuss protocols for joint peacekeeping. They are asking for Earth's input." Rains smiled faintly. "Then let us answer. But carefully. We must guide them, not command them." In the council chamber, Lyra's voice carried firmly yet softly. "Earth is willing to provide assistance to maintain stability in the galaxy. We will share knowledge, support peaceful solutions, and ensure no single species can ignite unnecessary conflict. Humanity offers partnership, not dominance." A murmur of agreement passed through the representatives. Many were surprised by the generosity of the humans. They had anticipated threats, aggression, or a display of dominance. Instead, they saw fairness, logic, and moral clarity. Counselor Varkesh still frowned, but even he could not deny the wisdom of her words. Perhaps we have misjudged humanity," he admitted quietly. Joran, sensing the shift, addressed the assembly again. "Let it be known that from this day forward, humanity is no longer considered a minor species. We recognize the strength, wisdom, and restraint they have shown. Let all council members treat Earth with respect and honor." The Aegis prepared for departure. Its engines hummed as systems powered down from battle readiness to normal operation. Captain Rains stood on the bridge, observing the galaxy that had just witnessed humanity's might and restraint. "Prepare hyperspace coordinates for return to Earth," he ordered. Commander Havel raised an eyebrow. "Sir, will the Council allow our departure without challenge?" Rains' expression was calm. "They will. They understand that Earth does not engage in pursuit or retaliation without cause. Our presence here has spoken louder than words or threats ever could." The fleets slowly began to disperse. The Zirans, Calith, and Zarkelians, once poised for battle, moved away, each contemplating what had just transpired. No ship fired a single shot at the Aegis during its departure. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded a single truth. Earth had arrived, had demonstrated its strength, and had left without bloodshed. On the Council station, Ambassador Lyra turned to her aide, Ensign Rel. "History will remember this day," she said softly. Rel nodded. "Yes, Ambassador. Humans have earned respect without firing a single shot." Lyra smiled faintly. "That is always our way. Strength is measured not just by power, but by the wisdom to use it only when necessary." As the Aegis entered hyperspace, Rains allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. Humanity had survived wars, plagues, and countless threats on its homeworld. It had built starships and technologies that other species could not imagine. Yet all of this power was meaningless without purpose. The Aegis was proof that humans understood responsibility. "Sir," Lieutenant Soren spoke quietly, "do you think they will truly respect us now?" Rains's gaze was steady, focused on the distant stars streaking past. "They will remember, Mara. They will remember that Earth does not start wars. But if provoked, humanity cannot be stopped. That memory will last generations," Havel added quietly. "And they will choose caution over aggression. Peace over recklessness," Rains nodded. "Exactly. That is the legacy we leave behind." Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Ships in distant systems carried tales of the human battleship that had ended a potential war without firing a single weapon. News feeds in distant starports reported the calm might of the Aegis, its precision, its wisdom, and the courage of its crew. The humans had proven that they were a force to be respected, not feared without cause and not underestimated under any circumstances. Even among the most aggressive species, a sense of humility settled in. No fleet commander dared speak openly of challenging Earth. No counselor dared dismiss humanity as weak or unworthy. For the first time, humans were not only survivors, they were arbiters of balance, guardians of peace, and symbols of strength guided by morality. Back in the council chamber, Zoran addressed the representatives one final time. "Let today remind us all that true power is not the ability to destroy but the wisdom to preserve. Humanity has shown us that strength without restraint is meaningless. Let their example guide us in all future deliberations." Lyra stepped forward and added, "And let it remind us all that even the smallest of civilizations can change the course of history, if guided by courage, ingenuity, and respect for life." The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then slowly, representatives began nodding. Some murmured agreement. Others sent messages of reconciliation to rival fleets. The fragile peace had been restored, and humanity had earned a permanent place of respect among the stars. The Aegis emerged from hyperspace near Earth. The familiar sight of the home planet brought a sense of calm to the crew. Its blue oceans and green continents reflected sunlight in a comforting glow. Captain Rains stood on the bridge, watching the planet below. "Home," he said softly. Commander Havel smiled. "And a galaxy that will remember why we fight, not for conquest, but to protect life and peace." Lieutenant Soren added, "And a people who will never be underestimated again." Rains nodded. "Exactly. Let this day be remembered not for battle, but for what humanity stands for: courage, intelligence, and the will to defend what is right." In the months that followed, the Council convened again, this time under a new understanding. Humanity was no longer seen as a minor player, but as a stabilizing force. Alliances shifted. Conflicts that once seemed inevitable were resolved with diplomacy, guided by the memory of the Aegis and its demonstration of restraint and power. Across the galaxy, stories of the human battleship spread. Children on distant worlds grew up hearing tales of courage, intelligence, and wisdom. Scholars debated how a single ship could alter the course of history. Commanders recalculated strategy, not based on fear of humans, but on respect for their judgment, ingenuity, and morality. Earth had shown the universe that it could stand among the stars not through recklessness or aggression, but through innovation, courage, and an unshakable sense of responsibility. The legacy of that day would echo for centuries, a shining example of HFY, humanity rising. Captain Rains finally allowed himself to relax as the Aegis entered Earth orbit. The crew moved efficiently, but their spirits were high. They had accomplished something far greater than defeating an enemy. They had reshaped the galaxy's perception of humanity. As the crew prepared for debriefing, Rains looked out at the planet below and whispered to himself, "Earth is safe, and the galaxy has seen what we are capable of. Let no one ever forget." The UNS Aegis remained a sentinel in orbit, a symbol of human achievement and resolve. And far beyond, among alien civilizations, a single truth became clear. Humans did not seek war, but if they fought, no force in the galaxy could stand against them. The legend of Earth and the Aegis had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again.